After years of my toxic parents' favoritism and being treated like a wallet, they lied about the flight and left me and my daughter like we meant nothing, but they never expected my revenge. My own mother lied about our flight so I would miss the trip I paid for. "Where are you?" I asked from the airport. "Oh, sweetheart, we're already at the hotel," she replied. I couldn't believe it. When they came back, Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport buzzed with its usual chaos, rolling suitcases, overhead announcements, and the excited chatter of families heading off on vacation. But all of that faded the moment I read the departure board. Flight AA98 to Miami. Departure 8 o'clock, status closed. Closed, like a door slammed in my face. "Dad, why won't they let us on the plane?" Olivia asked in her small, worried voice. I looked down at my daughter, her tiny, sweaty hand clutching mine tightly. She wore her unicorn-tinned backpack and her favorite yellow dress, the one she had carefully picked out because, as she said, "This will be my vacation outfit." Now her big brown eyes glistened with tears she was trying so hard to hold back. I took a deep breath, trying to calm the hurricane of rage surging inside me. This couldn't be happening. I swiped across my phone screen and called my mother. She picked up after the second ring. "Jake!" she exclaimed, her voice dripping with faint sweetness. In the background, I heard waves crashing, people chatting lazily, laughter and music. They were there, in Florida, without me, without Olivia. "Where are you?" I asked, my voice tense. "Oh, we just arrived at the hotel," she replied lightly, as if this wasn't ripping me apart. "Such a shame you didn't make it to the airport this morning." I blinked, stunned. "What are you talking about? You told me the flight was at 10. There was a brief pause, then a chuckle. "Oh, sweetheart, you must have misunderstood. We left at 8. My heart pounded furiously in my chest. I hadn't misunderstood. They had lied on purpose. They had left me behind. I pulled up the family WhatsApp group, and there it was. A photo of my parents, my sister Emily, and her son playing in the sand, laughing like everything was fine, like I didn't exist. The fury settled deep inside me, a cold, sharp blade. "Mom, are you telling me you left me out of the trip that I paid for?" She sighed. "Don't be dramatic, Jake. We'll see you when we get back." I didn't think. I hung up. I stood there in the middle of the airport, my phone still in my hand. People rushed past, rolling suitcases behind them, filled with excitement, Flint with a jutting pit in my stomach. "Dad," Olivia whispered. I looked down. My little girl stared up at me, her lips trembling, her tiny hand still holding mine. That's when I realized something. They hadn't just done this to me. They had done this to Olivia. The lump in my throat turned into something cold, something sharp. "Let's go get some breakfast, sweetheart," I said firmly, stroking her hair. "And then we'll figure things out." But inside, something shifted. This was the last time they would make a fool out of me. We had breakfast at a diner near the airport. Olivia stirred her hot chocolate absent-mindedly, staring at the foam as it slowly disappeared. I barely touched my coffee. The anger kept me too wired to eat. "Dad," she finally murmured, her voice trembling, "did they leave us because they don't love us?" I closed my eyes for a second. This was terrible. My daughter shouldn't have to carry this kind of pain. "No, sweetheart, it's not that," I said, forcing myself to smile. "Sometimes people do selfish things, but you and I, we're going to have our own vacation, just the two of us." She nodded, though her little face still looked sad. In that moment, I made a decision. This wasn't going to slide. I pulled out my phone and started rereading my parents' and Emily's messages about the trip. I couldn't believe I hadn't seen the signs before. 1 month ago, "Carrie, don't worry about a thing, sweetheart. We'll handle everything. Just send us the money." "Are you sure? I can buy the tickets right now." "No, Karen, no. No, your dad has accumulated miles, and Emily found an amazing deal on the hotel. It's better if we handle it." Our sister sent a face-blowing. 2 weeks ago. "Emily, don't forget to send me Olivia's details for the tickets." "Jake, you already have them. I sent them last week." Emily, "Oh right, my bad. Aha, 3 days ago." "Jake, what time is the flight exactly?" Karen, 10 o'clock, a man said. "Don't worry, lies, selfish." I gripped my phone so hard my knuckles turned white. Olivia glanced at me from the corner of her eye, so I forced myself to take a deep breath and relax my shoulders. Then I saw it. Emily had been online a minute ago. "Perfect." I typed a message. "Jake, Emily, why did you give us the wrong flight time?" I saw the 3 dots appear. Emily, "Don't be so dramatic, Jake. It was a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding?" "Jake, not a chance. Do you even realize what you've done to Olivia? Are you going to explain to her why her own family left her behind?" Silent. 2 minutes passed. Then the message that made my blood boil. "Emily, you're making a big deal out of this. Relax, we were all exhausted from the trip preparations. We couldn't keep track of everything." I let out a dry laugh. Exhausted? They were exhausted, and I had paid $7,500 for this trip. I looked at Olivia, who was picking at her croissant without much interest. Enough. I pulled out my bank card and, without hesitation, opened my payment app. Cancel automatic transfers to my parents' account. Cancel the Netflix and Spotify subscriptions still under my name. Goodbye, leeches. I took one last sip of my now cold coffee and smiled at Olivia. How would you like to go to Six Flags this weekend? Her eyes lit up instantly. Really? Of course. I winked. We still have vacation time left, and this time we'll spend it however we want. A new message popped up on my phone. Karen. Jake. What happened with this month's transfer? I chuckled under my breath and placed my phone face down on the table. They'd figure it out soon enough. The next day, my phone wouldn't stop vibrating. Incoming call from Mom. Incoming call from Dad. Incoming call from Emily. How predictable. I knew exactly why they were calling. They must have realized that the automatic payments had vanished like magic. I didn't answer. I left my phone on the table and kept playing with Olivia at Six Flags. Between laughter, roller coasters, and cotton candy, I realized something. For the first time in years, I felt free. But the peace didn't last long. When we got home that night, I unlocked my phone and saw nearly 40 unread messages in the family chat. Mom. Jake, there's a problem with the bank. This month's transfer didn't go through. Can you check it? Dad. Jake, call me. It's urgent. Emily. Jake, what's wrong with you? The daycare just told me the payment wasn't made. What are you doing? What am I doing? I'm stopping being their personal ATM. I decided it was time to face them, so I dialed my mother's number. She picked up on the first ring. Jake. Her voice was a mix of surprise and fake concern. Sweetheart. I was so worried. Why? I asked coldly. Well, because you didn't send this month's transfer. You know your father and I depend on that. I let out a bitter laugh. That's interesting, I said sarcastically. She spent the whole day at the amusement park with Olivia and completely forgot I had a family that only calls when they need money. Silence, thick and tense. Jake, don't say things like that. Her tone turned serious. You know we've always been a close family. I laughed, void of humor. Right, so close that you lied about the flight so I wouldn't make it. Jake, it was a mistake. No, I cut her off sharply. It wasn't a mistake. It was intentional. And the worst part isn't what you did to me. It's what you did to Olivia. Don't, sweetheart. Don't call me that when the only thing you care about is my money. Her tone changed in an instant. Jake, how can you say that? We're your parents. You owe us. There it was. The truth laid bare. You owe us. Like my entire life and hard work were just an endless bill to pay. I don't owe you anything, I said flatly. I've been covering your bills for years, paying for Emily's expenses while she lives her best life. But that's over. You can't do this, she shouted, now dropping the act. We're family. Maybe you should have thought about that before betraying me. I hung up before she could come up with another excuse. Less than a minute later, my phone rang again. Emily. What the hell is wrong with you? She snapped as soon as I answered. Nice to hear from you too, I replied. Don't be a smartass, you rude person. The daycare just called saying the payment didn't go through. Are you seriously punishing my son over your issues? I rubbed my forehead, exhausted. It's not my responsibility to pay for your child's daycare. You've been doing it for years, she yelled. So yes, it is your responsibility. No, it was my choice to help, and now I'm choosing to stop. You can't do this to me. I'm not doing it to you. I'm doing it for me because, for the first time in years, I'm choosing myself. Silence on the other end, then her voice dripped with bitterness. You know what, Jake? You're an unbearable, selfish man. I smiled calmly. Glad you finally noticed. And I hung up. Minutes later, another call. I took a deep breath before answering. Jake. My father's voice was steady, measured, the same false authority he'd always used with me. Listen, I know you're upset, but you can't just abandon your family like this. Oh, but it was totally fine when you abandoned me by lying about the flight. That was a misunderstanding. No, it was a choice, just like my choice to stop supporting. Jake, we're your parents, and I'm your son, not your bank account. You can't do this, my father repeated, his tone growing more aggressive. If you abandon us now, we'll never forgive you. I laughed. Wow, and here I thought family was about unconditional love. He let out an angry huff. You're ungrateful after everything we've done for you. Don't make me laugh, Dad. I was only useful to you once I started making money. You always treated Emily differently, and we both know. Silence, then, a heavy sigh. Don't ever call us again. That's the best thing you've ever said to me. And I hung up. I powered off my phone and sank onto the couch. Olivia was fast asleep in her bed, completely unaware of the war that had just erupted. I stared at the ceiling, feeling something unfamiliar in my chest. Not guilt. Not sadness. Just peace. It was over. And for the first time in a long time, I was free. The morning after, the silence felt different, like the world was waiting for me to react, but I had no intention of exploding, not anymore. I got up carefully, not wanting to wake Olivia, and headed to the kitchen. I needed coffee and a moment to think. As the coffee maker dripped steadily, I checked my phone. 27 missed calls, almost 40 unread messages in the family chat. Not a single, "How are you, son?" Not a single, "Is Olivia okay?" Just demands and complaints. Karen, Jake, there's a problem with this month's transfer. It didn't go through. Check your bank. Richard, Jake, call me. We need to talk. Emily, Jake, what on earth is wrong with you? The daycare just told me the payment didn't go through. Have you lost your mind? Lost my mind? No. For the first time in a long time, I was thinking clearly. The coffee maker beeped, pulling me from my thoughts. I poured a cup, and before I could even take a sip, another message popped up. Aunt Margaret, Jake, I just talked to your mother. She's hysterical. They can't pay their mortgage this month. She says you need to call her immediately. There it was, just 48 hours after cutting them off, and they were already feeling the consequences. I sat at the table, cradling my coffee, letting the reality sink in. I had always given them everything, but who had been there for me when I needed help the most? The answer came in the form of a painful memory. 3 years ago. It was late at night. I sat in a hospital room, fluorescent lights flickering above me. The sharp scent of disinfectant filled the air, suffocating, but not as much as the reality in front of me. Rachel lay in the hospital bed, her skin pale, her lips dry. "Don't make that face, love," she whispered weakly. I took her hand, cold like marble. "I can't help it." "Yes, you can," she gave me a faint smile. "You've always been stronger than you think." I swallowed hard. I didn't want to be strong. I wanted her to live. "Olivia needs you, Rachel." "I need you." "Olivia needs you," she whispered, "and you're going to do great." The machine beside her started beeping a different rhythm. Everything in my world stopped. "I love you, Jake." And then, silence. A cold emptiness swallowed me whole, consuming everything I was. 2 months later, Rachel was gone, and I was left alone. Alone with Olivia, a 3-year-old girl who still didn't understand why Mommy wasn't coming to tuck her in at night. A broken man who had to pretend to be strong. I ran a hand over my face, trying to rub away the burning in my eyes. Rachel had been right. I had always been strong, but I had never been strong for myself until now. The next morning, Olivia walked into the kitchen, rubbing her sleepy little eyes. "Good morning, princess." "Daddy, I dreamed about Mommy." My heart stopped for a second. "Yeah? What was she doing?" Olivia smiled sweetly. "She took us to the beach and told me she would always take care of us." I pressed my lips together, fighting the lump in my throat. "That sounds beautiful, sweetheart." She nodded and curled up against my chest. That was all that mattered. Not my leech of a family, not their problems. Just Olivia. Later that day, after taking Olivia out for a walk, I found them. My mother waiting outside my apartment. Beside her, my father, arms crossed, face set in a scowl. "Jake," my mother exclaimed, standing up quickly. "We need to talk." "We have nothing to talk about," I said coldly. I tried to walk past them, but my father stepped in front of me. "Don't be like this, son. We're your family." I stared at him. Once, his presence would have made me feel guilty, but not anymore. "Let me guess. You can't pay the mortgage, can you?" They exchanged uncomfortable glances. "Well, yes," my mother admitted, "but if you just let us explain." "I don't care." My father let out an irritated breath. "Jake, listen to me. If you turn your back on us now, don't expect us to be there when you need us." I laughed. My mother looked offended. "How can you say that after everything we did for you?" Silence. "Where were you when I had to work until dawn, then wake up 3 hours later to take care of Olivia on my own?" Silence. "Where were you when I was drowning, when I needed help, when Olivia asked about her mother and I didn't know what to say?" More silence. They shifted uncomfortably, at a loss for words. I looked at them with disdain. "Don't start preaching about family now. Family doesn't use their children as ATMs." I stepped toward the door and pulled it open. "Oh, and by the way," I turned to face my mother. "Sell the new car. You don't need it." Her face fell. I shut the door firmly, and for the first time in years I felt free. The aftermath. The silence in my apartment felt deeper after shutting the door in my parents' faces. I stood there for a few seconds, my hand still resting on the doorknob. No calls, no knocks, no last-ditch attempts to convince me. They knew they had lost. I took a deep breath and walked into the living room. Olivia sat on the couch, hugging her teddy bear. She looked up at me with those big dark eyes filled with that childlike curiosity that always disarmed me. "Was that Grandma?" she asked softly. I sat beside her, running a hand through her curly hair. "Yes, sweetheart." "Was she mad?" I smiled sadly. "A little." She tilted her head, thinking. Why are they always mad at you? My chest tightened. I didn't want her to grow up thinking her family had rejected her, but I also couldn't lie to her. Because they think they have the right to my help always. But you did help them. Yes. Then why are they mad? I sighed. Because it was never enough. I pulled her into a hug and kissed the top of her head. Don't worry about it, Olivia. We have each other, and that's all that matters. She nodded and buried her face in my chest. The collapse of my family, I didn't expect everything to fall apart so quickly. A message from Aunt Margaret popped up on my phone. Aunt Margaret, your parents came asking me for money. They said they're behind on the mortgage and the bank is pressuring them. I smirked bitterly. That luxury car they bought 2 years ago with my money wasn't looking like such a great investment now, was it? A second message followed. Emily, Jake, seriously, let's talk. This isn't funny anymore. The daycare gave me a deadline. If I don't pay by the end of the month, my son loses his spot. I read the message carefully and typed back 2 simple words. Not my problem. 5 minutes later, another message. Emily, you're a selfish man. I can't believe how cruel you are. We're family. I didn't reply. Family meant nothing when they only saw you as a walking bank account. Day 7, without my money. Karen, Jake, your father isn't doing well. The stress is affecting his heart. Please talk to him. I leaned back on the couch and stared at the message blankly. The guilt trip, the emotional blackmail, the same old tricks. But this time, I wasn't falling for it. If my father were truly sick, they would have called an ambulance, not me. I didn't even bother responding. Day 10 without my money. I was in my office working when an unknown number flashed on my phone screen. I picked up without thinking. Jake Walker? Yes, who's this? My name is Patrick Collins. I'm an attorney representing an interested party regarding financial matters concerning your family. Would you be able to come to our office to discuss the situation? I smiled. So now they had escalated things to this level. A family hired you? I can't disclose that over the phone, Mr. Walker. Tell them I'm not interested. Mr. Walker, if you don't respond, legal action may be taken. I let out a dry laugh. Legal action for what? For refusing to fund their lives? Are they going to sue me for not wanting to pay their bills? Silence. That's what I thought, and I hung up. Day 15 without my money. They finally gave up. Karen, Jake, fine, we'll handle things on our own. I hope one day we can fix this. Emily, I won't bother you anymore. I have no choice but to find another job. I read the messages carefully but didn't respond. I didn't feel satisfaction, just relief. They had finally learned they no longer had control over me. Day 20 without my money. For the first time in years, I was planning a vacation just for Olivia and me. Well, almost just the 2 of us. When we arrived at the airport, Jessica, Olivia's nanny, was with us. Hiring her was the best decision I had made in years. Raising Olivia alone had been a massive challenge at first. I tried to handle everything, work, the house, school, sleepless nights when she was sick. Until one day, my boss found me asleep at my desk and forced me to take a few days off. Jake, you need help, he said, and he was right. After months of refusing, I finally hired Jessica, a patient, kind woman with endless energy to keep up with Olivia. She wasn't just a nanny, she had become family. Are you ready for the beach, princess? I asked, lifting Olivia into my arms. Yes, Daddy. I'm ready too, Jessica smiled. But let's not forget sunscreen, okay? I laughed. Yes, ma'am. Olivia grabbed my face with her tiny hands and kissed my cheek. I love you. My throat tightened. I love you too, sweetheart. We headed to the gate. This time, no one was leaving us behind. We boarded the plane, and as we took off, I felt the weight of my family disappear, left behind in the ocean awaited us. So did freedom. I never expected my story to go viral, but here we are, thousands of comments, and the most common question. How could you pay them so much? Didn't you realize they were using you? The answer is simple. Because they were my family. I own a rental property business. I'm not a millionaire, but I earn enough to live comfortably. Helping my parents and sister never felt like a problem until it became an obligation. At first, I justified their demands. When my wife passed away, they supported me in those first few months, so when they asked for financial help, I didn't hesitate. But what started as gratitude quickly turned into abuse. No matter how much I gave, it was never enough, and when I stopped paying, their reaction wasn't sadness or concern, it was anger and threats. Is the lawyer part true? It sounds like something out of a novel. Yes, it's true. Emily ran a small shop, one that I bought and financed. I even gave her 20% ownership when she divorced as a way to help her. But when I cut off the money, she and my parents tried to sue me, convinced that I somehow owed them more. It didn't work. The store is mine. I paid for everything. And when their lawyer told them they had no case, Emily switched tactics. If you start paying for my son's daycare again, we'll forget all of this. My response was simple. No. Do you regret it? Not at all. Since I cut them off, my life has improved. Olivia and I had our own vacation, no manipulation, no demands. And my family? They still try to make me feel guilty. But that day I realized I needed to distance myself from them. If it hurts them, let it hurt, because for the first time in years, I am free.